few at Marcos, we had added on each year, and of course, we got, electrical contractors and this and that. Well, one electrical contractor for the one of the large dining room additions had underestimated the power usage. So one Labor Day Sunday night, Labor Day weekend, we had tons of people waiting. Dining room was packed, going 90 miles an hour at 7 o'clock, and boom, the meter blew off the wall outside. Needless to say, we had no power enclosed. But we did get it fixed. Monday we were closed, got it fixed, and reopened on Tuesday. That was an interesting story. I had one fella, when I was a kid, in a small restaurant, had an epileptic fit in the car and drove through the corner of the restaurant. Luckily there was nobody injured. It was in an off time of day. That was scary as a kid. One time, this was probably early 50s, there was parking in front of Marcos, and being we lived next door, our car was just parked there all the time. So when my parents would close the restaurant at 8 o'clock, they would always bring the money home in a little metal money box, they called it. Well, the car was parked right in front of the door of the restaurant, and my mother sat the money box on the hood of the car to turn around to lock the door. Well, she left the money box sitting there all night. It was still there the next morning. Never locked the house. Never locked the house. Didn't even have a key for the house. 4th of July was a busy time with tourists traveling up and down US 1. It was exciting with the beachside. The boardwalk was just the hub of activity. You could not get a parking space on the beach side, up and down all the side streets on the beach. It was just a mob scene. And the 50s were an exciting time on Daytona Beach. My brother-in-law, his family owned the ice plant in Daytona on Lucia Avenue. So he delivered ice to all the restaurants in Daytona on the beach side, and they had come into the 50s with vending houses where you could go and buy a bag of ice, vending machines. So he stocked those, so I got to ride with him and my sister a few times. And it was just a bustling, exciting time. It was great.
Of course, right now during Speed Weeks, the races were over there on the beach.
Yes. One race February, my father got the great idea of putting a A-frame sign out on the highway, box lunches $1. And the restaurant only sat, 34 people. And my aunt, my mother cooked, and we had one waitress, and sold 100 boxes. Now, covered us up. A lot of fried chicken went out that day. So, with no KFCs back then. Fried chicken box was a big thing.
Let's talk about some of the other aspects we were talking about earlier. You lived down there. You remember the beautiful Atomic Tunnel or the Tropical Fantasy?
Yes. So, Tunnel of Fantasy is the name I remember. I actually never got to go in it, but it always intrigued me. I remember the tunnels that made out of like stucco, and they curved around in the back of the house. The house is still there. I think it's a construction company or something now. So that was a tourist attraction. Of course, in South Daytona, we had the Sea Zoo, and that was a major tourist attraction. I mean, there were just cars lined up there all the time. That was a major destination. Had the Sugar Mill Gardens, kind of a low-key destination.
And, of course, Bongo Land.
Yep, Bongo Land, yep.
Chance to go there?
No, never did.
Let's talk about you're traveling south on US 1, although it's 4 lanes today.
2 lanes, all right. 2 lanes, yeah.
So around Catherine Street, there was a big turn to the left there, and you named it
Dead Man's Curve, yeah.
Talk about it.
Well, on the left was, I think it was a car dealer there now, used car dealer. It was Dr. Hartman. The house he lived, it was kind of like a L-shaped house. He had his office in one wing, and the main part of the other wing was the house. They lived right there. He was our family doctor, and I can remember his wife had greyhounds that she raced in the dog track. So they were somewhat night people, and they'd come in occasionally to Marco's and sit at the counter before they were headed to the dog track to do their dog racing. And I can remember him saying on several occasions he was awakened in the middle of the night and had to go handle an accident on the Dead Man's Curve. Early 50s, the motel was built. It was called Richard's Motel. It was Mr. and Mrs. Fernandez, Richard Fernandez and Nina. They were the Spanish, did an immaculate job. That motel, every blade of grass, he hosed the sidewalk down every day, and they had no vacancy many, many, many nights. It was a very nice motel. He got the right idea to sell that motel and build one next to Marco's because so many people liked the motel-restaurant combination that were traveling. So they could eat dinner, stay and have breakfast and go without having to make other stops. So he sold